we hook up with our phones. And so what I'm saying, Melinda, is there's many, well, right here in the United States, for instance, if my daughter drives from here in Gulf Breeze over to visit her grandchildren in Atlanta, because we don't have a straight interstate, straight shot, she crosses one, but there's places out in the smaller towns that can't get the internet, even for their children.
That's true.
And I've seen some people have to go to the McDonald's to have their children do their homework. Now, that's just not right. So the infrastructure we're building now.
I've heard of people even having the internet at their own home, and it's not coming on strong. They have to leave the house and go somewhere else.
Right. So that's very common and needs to be talked about, other than the same thing over and over and over again on CNN. Any of these major networks that have the talking heads are reading a script from their research teams, but it seems like they'll get on one topic and broadcast and program people over and over and over and over. They'll get on one topic. Whether the governor just stepped down or the pandemic. I won't say the name because they're really funny about you talking about those things, but especially if you're not educated with a PhD or medical field, Fauci, et cetera. But, women and cyberspace together, I'm glad that you put that together and did some research on that. That's very impressive on your part, just starting.
Well, I was curious to see in a year, through writing, what they had the findings say, and that was interesting that we only represent 20% of the working group or whatever, but that's not going to be forever. And what they were saying to spearhead yourself if you're really passionate about this field, and not to be intimidated, not to be afraid. Take chances, learn the skills, go out, do it, be a go-getter. Don't. So it's very interesting what you find.
Yeah, Google has been in the news for talking about letting people work remotely, and there's been a little chatter on the news about how people, or maybe it's just on YouTube, I can't remember now because I try to scan all channels since I'm fortunate enough to live close to the city and have cable vision, but I also have AT&T internet, but it's not what I was told. I mean, I have my regular internet, and this is something we need to talk about, technology and how people have access to it. So I guess that's what we're talking about, just with your cell phones. The rest of the world is so far behind us. Now, China, of course, is probably the only country that we're really competing with, as far as technology, maybe Russia to a little bit. There's 5 major countries, and, America used to lead everything after World War II in technology, and the wealthiest. And since I've been on the planet, I've noticed the wealthier get wealthier. And many people talk about the tipping point of the richest men in the world having more money. And I don't know. Can you look up the richest women? Do you have access to your computer? The richest women in the world. Yeah.
Richest women in cyberspace, or?
Well, yeah, it's the top 10 richest women in the world, and see what you Google. Because folks, we still use a browser, but it's Wikipedia and Google. Most people in America, at least, use Google to find something.
All right, let's see.
Let's see the top 10.
Let's see what it says.
Oprah. I wonder if Oprah's in the top 10.
Women in the world, Forbes list. Okay. Okay, so Chilean billionaire Iris Fontaba is rejoining the list of the top 10 richest women this year.
Who is that joining them? Well,
her name is Chilean billionaire Iris Fontaba.
What country?
Is the widow of Andronico Lucic, who served as the chairman of Coneco, a holding of somewhere, Lucic, I'm going to say that's in Europe, one of Chile's largest conglomerates. Let's see, who is the wealthiest woman in the world? Let's see, what is this? The top richest women in the world 2021. Let's see what comes up.
Yeah, women in culture, cyberspace culture. I'd like to see if any of them are in technology or communications. Can't believe my television came on all by itself. That just drives me crazy, all these things that happen.
Okay, the world's richest woman, L'Oreal Harris Francois Betancourt Meyers. She scored the biggest dollar gain among women whose fortune is tied to public stock. Then they have another one, Mackenzie Scott, ex-wife of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, who got her richest year.
She's up there because she's divorced.
And then
Bezos.
Scott, who is committed to giving her wealth away. 20, and then German billionaire Friede Springer gave 50% of the company to the chief executive, Axel Springer, and that was founded by her late husband. So we have Alice Warrington, the second. She's 71, from Walmart.
I don't even recognize these
Mackenzie
women.
Scott from Amazon. Julia Koch and family. She's 58. And then Miriam Adelson. She's 75. Casinos. Jacqueline Mars.
So that's Forbes, I guess, right? That you're
She is number 6.
Iris Fontaba.
She's for candy and pet food. And here's an Asian girl, Yang Huang and family. She's known for real estate, citizenship China. Suzanne Clatton, 27.7 billion, 58, Germany, BMW Pharmaceuticals. That's her source of wealth. Then Gina Reinhardt, $23.6 billion, age 67. Citizenship, Australia. Source of wealth, mining.
We don't know their work. We don't relate. Frances Betancourt Myers. Now, we don't relate to these. We don't. John Q. Public, Alice Walton, okay? And then
we have Iris Fontaba and family, the last one, age 78.
Melinda Gates. All right. So we don't know these. We don't normally, other than Melinda Gates, Julia Koch, or I guess the Koch brothers, Julia Koch. But we don't recognize their names.
The others.
And the Koch brothers, David Koch, let's see, Julia Koch, widow of David, inherited her fortune when he died in 2019. So that's interesting. The Koch brothers.
Yeah, it's
David
interesting
Koch
stuff that you find out when you look up the most richest woman in America in that year. It's interesting stuff. I'm surprised I didn't see Oprah on this list.
I know.
Oh, yeah, she is. What am I saying here? But in a different way. How well do you know America's richest self-made woman? And Oprah's picture is right down there.
Self-made women. They've separated them.
That's different.
Inheriting. Well, that's good. Yeah, I would rather think that we're talking about women of today, but many of them just inherited, like in Chile, the mining industry was...
you know that Rihanna, the singer, she's a billionaire now.
Who's that?
Rihanna, you know the reggae singer?
Oh, Rihanna, yeah.
Yeah, she's a billionaire now.
Well, so we have billionaires.
Yeah. But I'm saying a West Indian billionaire. She's not American. She's
women
West
of
Indian.
The world.
Yep.
Yeah, women, the richest women of the world. So, richest women. They're not really that intuitive, but they have the money. Now, that was in the 2020 category, I guess. But where did Oprah fall in the top of 2020? Did you look that up? Where does she fall below the top 10?
That just falls into, it doesn't say...
Depends on who's collecting the stats, I guess.
10 richest...
top. I wonder why we always say 10. That must be a habit we started years ago.
Yeah,
we get in the habit of the richest women in the world. Now we have North America, Europe, South. Okay, I like this. This is the wealthiest women in the world owning business. So we have Oceania and South America mining. So these women, but I wonder if, I like the difference, like you said, self-made women versus as billionaires. So it looks like L'Oreal's granddaughter, Frances Betancourt Myers, is the wealthiest woman with the 12th richest person in the world.
Right.
Now, this is our data comes from Bloomberg Billionaires Index is what I'm looking at. So it would be the money comes from L'Oreal, which is, I guess that's women's products. How do they claim that? Wealthiest women in the world, the 12th richest. But where did you see Oprah? Because these names, other than the Coke name, I recognize that name, and I don't see Jeff Bezos' wife on this top 10. Isn't that interesting? Oh, maybe she hadn't, but you did cover her name, Melinda.
I did see her name.
Right?
Yeah.
Because now that they're getting half their husband's wealth, but Bill Gates' wife was brilliant and helped him make the money. So she's brilliant and she's entitled. And any man-woman relationship, it's amazing how they have to diversify their trust and how I'm amazed at how they get all these corporations and these rich people don't pay taxes, and yet the poor people have to, or the working people have to. And that's something the Democrats and the Republicans don't want to share. But, they get lobbied. They don't just get their money from being appointed by the people. They get money from lobbyists promoting their quest to get into these bills. But Mackenzie Scott, ex-wife of America founder Jeff Bezos, who's the distinction of the richest person in the world, remarried. She and her husband joined her commitment to donate more than most of their fortune to philanthropic efforts. Interesting. And also, they got a divorce in 2019. So Mackenzie received 25% of Jeff's Amazon stock of 4% of the company. Interesting how that worked out. For the first 20 years, he told people there's no way they were going to get a return on their investment. He was a brilliant person. Of course, he'd worked on the stock exchange or for somebody over there, so he was smart when he went after books. But, think about it. He's like a self-made man. They lived in a little yucky house, just a natural suburban home and went from nothing to something. So Jeff Bezos is a wonder of today, and so is Oprah. I would say Oprah, people know Oprah. They don't really know Jeff Bezos owns Amazon, but going into space helps some. But we all can't know everything about every possible subject on the planet. But I'm very curious to keep cyberspace culture going and women visualizing America and how women